Because I played as many sports as I did, and because I sometimes got a bit banged up along the way, I've probably had a few more MRIs than your average person. MRIs, magnetic resonance imagers, massive machines with powerful magnets which unlock the secrets of what's inside a brain or a body, giving us a glimpse of what's going on inside in a way that used to be available only if a person was opened up surgically. What an amazing technology to be able to see inside a body that way. And I used to think that MRIs were solely the realm of doctors and skilled technicians. But not long ago, I found out about a different kind of MRI, which also reveals what is inside a person. It's a phrase, I'm told, that's sometimes used by people in HR or helping some kind of team building leadership role. MRI, in this case, stands for Most Respectful Interpretation. People who are good at the MRI, the most respectful interpretation, are good with people. If a person is crabby at work, for example, instead of presuming that they are your enemy of some kind or some kind of awful person, you begin by presuming the best and maybe even begin a conversation to see what might be going on in that person's life. When's the last time you performed an MRI? David did today. King Saul had grown so jealous of the popularity of David that he sends out people to have him killed. And by a fluke set of circumstances, David, who was on the run, had this opportunity while the king was sleeping to kill him. Instead, he sheathes his sword and gives him an MRI and says, "You are God's anointed," was the message he sent. And you and I, we're brothers, we're friends, we are not enemies. Today, the vision that Jesus holds out in this staggeringly challenging gospel, where he speaks about the importance of us being people who are ready to forgive, is also that we give an MRI of all the things that he says, do not judge. Begin by giving the person the positive, most respectful interpretation. Now, we can certainly judge people's actions. We have to use our ability for critical thinking. And people's lives can depend on us using that judgment, right? And when it comes to the things of the heart, however, there are several things to keep in mind. One, we never have enough evidence to judge a person's heart. Most people know I would hardly ever use the word always or never, but I use it here. We never have enough evidence to judge a person's heart. Two, there are two or more sides to every story, and often the truth is complicated. And three, everyone is in pain and hurts on some level. And we can be so quick to respond, we don't hear the story of their heart. As one of my priest friends has as his tagline on every email he sends, remember that everyone you meet is afraid of someone, is afraid of something, loves something, and has lost something. On a retreat, our retreat was wonderful this weekend. I am so grateful for everyone involved. My goodness. I bet I could say this is one of the things that most retreatants walked away with. One of the many things, I hope, is that the realization that behind every face is a story. We might not have known that beforehand, but behind every face is a story which we started to get to unfold. And for me, sometimes remembering how I was not given an MRI reminds me I don't want to be like that myself. True story, this person was not from this parish, had found our mass schedule online because I would pray I would never call somebody out loud in public. I am making my way over for confessions one Saturday afternoon when I'm coming across the parking lot there. This guy comes screeching up in his car, runs out, leaves his car running, sobbing, "Father Joe, my mom was just killed in a car accident." So we talked, and I loved him the best I could, and I said, I got to get over for confessions now, but I can cancel the appointment I've got, the wedding preparation I got right after Mass. And many people say, "Get me out of church when Father Joe's speaking." I get that. He's just putting voice to what you might have been thinking. Yeah. And I said, "I'll cancel my marriage prep. As soon as Mass is over, I'll come over and I'll be with you guys." And so we said a quick prayer. I hugged him, and I got over to confession. 5 minutes late, and standing outside my confessional is this guy going, "This is a sacrament, you know." Now, by the grace of God's timing, I am in the middle of writing a book about how we deal with our angers and situations like that. So I did not say the first thing that came to my mind. And I resisted the temptation to give him something like 8 million Hail Marys for a penance. But not having received an MRI reminds me that I do not want to do that to others as well. And when I remember to give an MRI, it usually helps me take stuff less personally, reminds me that the person's behavior is often less from maliciousness and perhaps more from their brokenness and wounds, and I am less likely to react with this knee-jerk, angry response. And sometimes even, if we get below the surface, we can connect in our common suffering. Stephen Covey, perhaps you've read some of his books, tells of what happened to him one Sunday morning on a subway. A man boarded the subway train he was on with several children. The children were rowdy, but the man seemed not to care. He put his head down, seemingly unaware of the noise that these kids were making and just how they were disturbing other passengers. Stephen said he was irritated, so he tapped the man on the shoulder and said, "Sir, your children are really disturbing a lot of people. I wonder if you couldn't control them a little more." Stephen Covey said, "The man lifts his eyes, seeming to come back from someplace far away, and said softly, 'You're right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital where their mother died an hour ago. I don't know what to think, and I guess they don't know how to handle it either.'" Stephen Covey would tell you he did not give an MRI in that moment, and he regrets it. And he works now to make sure that he leads with an MRI, a most respectful interpretation. And the next time you and I find ourselves irritated by somebody at church or at home or the neighborhood or at work, which will continue to happen, it would be good, after the example of Jesus and at his command, to give an MRI, to remember that there's a good chance that that person is in great pain right now, and that we don't know their story, and that if we did, it might just change everything.